Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Elliott. Thanks so much for being with me. You know, the countdown is on to the general election in November, and one of the key races here in our state is for U.S. Senate. Joining us this morning, the Democrat who hopes to unseat the incumbent Republican, Senator Roger Wicker. We have Ty Pinkins in the studio with us today. Mr. Pinkins, good to see you, and thanks for being with us.
So good to be on with you today, David.
You know, I generally don't ask a very open-ended questions, but I'm going to start with one with you because I don't think the voters know you very well around the state. What do you bring to the table? What would you plan to do for Mississippi and for the country that you believe in your heart Roger Wicker is not doing for Mississippi and the country?
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to come on. I really appreciate you sharing this space with me. My life has been spent in public service my entire adult life, from serving in our military for 21 years on active duty, 3 combat tours, to graduating from law school and coming back to Mississippi and working as a public interest nonprofit lawyer in the Mississippi Delta and some of the lowest income communities in our state. What I think is missing on the federal level now is honesty, integrity, and leading in a way where Mississippians can really appreciate what's going on and appreciate their voices being heard in Washington, D.C. And I think that's what I'm taking to Washington, D.C.
Well, I don't need to tell you this. Just ask Jim Hood and Brandon Presley in the last 2 statewide elections. It's a long row to hoe for a Democrat in the state of Mississippi right now. And you can go to the strongholds of Jackson and the Mississippi Delta, but you're down here in South Mississippi right now. You've got South Mississippi out there watching right now. And the thing is, many people just automatically will not vote for you just because of that D in parentheses after your name. How do you overcome that?
Well, I think that's the beautiful thing about our democracy. We have Republicans, we have Democrats, we have independents, but our Constitution says that if you meet the age and residency requirements, you get an opportunity to run for office, and voters get an opportunity to make a decision. And I think we need more people that look at it from that perspective, where we have so many people that look at our elections now, and because, like you say, the road is so tough to hoe, and the hill is so high to climb, and a lot of people are priced out of the process because of how much money is pumped into politics, that everyday citizens who understand the issues that they are facing are reluctant to get into the process. I grew up in poverty, in an underserved community, served in our military, and I think it is my duty, seeing what's going on in our country today, in our state today, to say, you know what? That road may be tough to hoe, that hill may be high to climb, but I'm going to get in and I'm going to run this race.
Let me throw 2 examples at you. Gene Taylor served in Congress down here in our district for 20 years.
Right.
Joe Manchin has served since 2010 in West
from
Virginia.
West Virginia, yeah.
A very conservative state. So actually a Democrat, but very conservative state. So would you characterize yourself, because I think you have to win in Mississippi, as a moderate Democrat? Because both Taylor and Manchin, the 2 examples I used, are conservative Democrats.
Here's what I think about our politics today. We have 2 parties, and we have people in those 2 parties, whether they consider themselves Republican or Democrat, red or blue, that are doing a disservice to all Mississippians and all Americans, because you see it. When Republicans are in charge, if a Democrat puts forth legislation that'll benefit Mississippians and Americans, they'll go and sit on their hands and not support that legislation. Same thing on the other side of the aisle. When we get a Democratic legislation legislature that is in charge, and Republicans put forth issues that benefit Americans and Mississippi, then some people go and sit in their hands in their corners. You have Republicans and Democrats that are going to sit in their corners and not do what's right for the American people. That's why I consider myself an independently minded Democrat. And
so this isn't California, Illinois, or New York.
Oh, absolutely not.
So you don't run necessarily on the National Democrat Party platform when it comes to positions?
Well, I'm a Democrat. I am. I'm an independently minded Democrat. I support women's health care rights, women deciding what to do with their own bodies. I support expanding Medicaid. I support making sure that we lift people up from poverty, from the lower class to middle class, and I support making sure that we expand opportunities for people to have good paying jobs.
What do you think Mississippians in the last 20 years, as the Democratic Party has lost a lot of power here in our state, what do you think Mississippians are missing when it comes to the Republican and Democratic parties, and what is in their best interest?
That is a good question. Mississippi is a huge state. And I've been doing this for about 16 months now on this campaign. And I've met Mississippians all across the state that say they want one thing. They want politicians, candidates that are just honest with them, simply honest with them, to come to their door, knock on their door, and answer their questions with regard to our jobs in our economy, with regard to health care, with regard to voting rights. They want someone that they can trust that's going to go to Washington, D.C. and do what's best for them. I think they feel like that in today's age, in modern politics, that elected officials have gotten so accustomed to relying on speaking to voters from a distance, through radio, through television. That's necessary, but we've gotten away from that door knocking and meeting voters where they are, so that they can feel you.
Retail politics.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been doing over the last 16 months.
You know, you have to be careful about using age, but Roger Wicker, I'm going to throw this out there. Roger Wicker's going to be 73 in November. If he's reelected to 6 more years, that would put him at 78. And again, you have to be careful when you use that as a campaign issue, but is that something you would talk to voters about?
No, that's not something, because we have politicians or elected officials who are doing a great job, even though they're up in age. And I don't think that's something specifically that voters are concerned about. Voters are more concerned about the price of gas, the amount of money that they're spending on food. They're concerned about their children having a quality education system. They're concerned about the safety of their communities, and that's what I'm talking to voters about every single day.
So when you talk about jobs and the economy, a lot of things get thrown out there for the politicians and the establishment. But are you at all concerned about how deficit spending, how the $34 trillion national debt, and some of these other things are just going to kill future generations? Yeah,
I am. And that's why I support a Democratic legislature, because if you know as well as I know, historically, Democrats have been better on the national debt than the other party. Under President Obama, under President Clinton, the budget was either balanced or it was decreased. Under President Trump, under President Reagan, under President Bush, it increased.
So we there are a lot of people out there who would like me to argue with you on that.
But that's okay.
And I could, because I don't think you have your numbers right, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm not going to waste time. National security. We've got this vote. We've sent now $140 billion or whatever it is to Ukraine. Where are you on that? And where are you on supporting our ally Israel as it continues to battle Hamas in Gaza?
Those are extremely important issues from a national security perspective. First, with Ukraine, we have an option here. And having served in our military, 3 combat tours, 36 months at war, I have seen American soldiers lose their lives on the battlefield. I have fought with those soldiers who have lost their lives on the battlefield. And I understand the importance when we say either we can invest financially in supporting our allies like Ukraine now.
What about Israel?
I'm gonna get to Israel. We can invest financially in supporting our allies in Ukraine now, or later we risk investing our sons and daughters to defend that area of the world when Russia advances past Ukraine. With regard to Israel, what happened in October when Hamas attacked Israel is a tragedy. And every country has a right to defend itself and its people. However, we also have a responsibility, every country has a responsibility to abide by international laws of conflict. We've seen over 40,000 people die in Gaza so far, many of them women and children. So we have a responsibility, or they have a responsibility to also take that into consideration.
Alrighty, well, Ty Pinkins, maybe an open invitation to you to come on the show again.
I'd love to come back.
Because time just flies, we're out of it, and I hope to have you back here on the coast and on the show again. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.